Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Auburn Undercover podcast. My name is Brendan Marcello. I'm sitting alongside Michael Niziolek. This actually is a time we're actually sitting next to each other recording this podcast. It's been a while. It's a Sunday night as we record this. Auburn found out its NCAA Tournament destination just a couple of short hours ago, and now the building's empty. Auburn, a number 4 seed, will face number 13 seed College of Charleston, which won the Colonial Athletic Association tournament earlier last week, actually on a Thursday. And Auburn, a big favorite in that game. We'll get more into that here in a little bit. But, Mike, rather subdued celebration in that watch party we were at.
I'm surprised they didn't do something bigger, but maybe it's because spring break was this week, so they maybe were worried that there wouldn't be enough people to kind of justify it. Players, obviously, I think still disappointed from the way the SEC tournament ended, and might not just been in the mood to celebrate. And they've known for weeks that they were going to be in the tournament. Ended up a number 4 seed, so maybe they saw kind of what they lost and not getting that 2 seed, kind of struggling at the end. Maybe that was part of it as well.
Yeah, Mustafa Heron apparently told the team, let's not celebrate, jump up. Let's act like we've been here before. And Bruce Pearl's reaction to that, as he was telling the fans before the selections show started in the watch party, he goes, yeah, but we've never been here before. But they followed Mustafa Heron's lead. They just sat there, they clapped. There were some smiles, but most of the celebration was from the fans, the boosters, family members that were sitting behind them in the auditorium. Other than that, there wasn't a big celebration. I mean, they've known that they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. Now it's official, and Auburn going way out west to San Diego. If you were to hop in a car right now and drove nonstop, you would be there in a day and a half. It's a 30-hour drive.
It's a long drive.
So, of course, you got to fly. I'm guessing there won't be a large Auburn contingent. But it's interesting. A lot of SEC teams didn't really get seated close to where –
Well, Tennessee didn't even get Nashville. They got Dallas.
Yeah, so Tennessee's got to go to Dallas, which is halfway across the country for them if you really kind of think about it. Auburn's got to go practically they are going across the country, say for one state. So it's interesting. I would say that the Midwest region that Auburn is in is probably the toughest.
Yeah, what was the top 4 seed? It was Kansas,
incredible.
Duke, Michigan State are all above them, above Auburn, that is. So tough road ahead.
But
Oklahoma's also in that bracket. Obviously, a dangerous team with one of the best players in that college. Clemson and New Mexico State is who Auburn gets if they win and advance, and then it would probably be Kansas after that. But a lot of work to do before you get there. I don't think Auburn can kind of count their eggs before they're hatched, so to speak, considering the way they've been playing in recent weeks.
Right. And all said and done, though, it's actually a rather favorable draw for Auburn in the first 2 games, even though they're getting shipped out west. Auburn is already a huge favorite against College of Charleston. They're a 10.5-point favorite. They opened up as such. It'll probably stay around that area, even with Auburn struggling the way it is. I mean, Auburn should beat College of Charleston if you just look at their metrics and the way they've played this season. But you never know come tournament time. I mean, Auburn, their last 2 games, the SEC tournament game and the South Carolina game. The South Carolina game, first 11 minutes, they're shooting like 12%. And then that second half against Alabama was the worst half of all for the Tigers all season. And, of course, they weren't shooting very well in that. So there's a trend here where Auburn hasn't been able to hit shots, but they've got to hit shots to obviously advance in the NCAA tournament. But having said that, they face Charleston, a team that, as I said, is their favorite against. And then after that, you play a 5 seed in Clemson or a 12 seed in New Mexico State. And I see a lot of folks who know much more basketball than me, especially when it concerns basketball teams outside the SEC, picking New Mexico State over Clemson immediately after the bracket was released. But what do you think of Auburn's draw here? Do you think they can make it to Omaha, Nebraska, in the Sweet 16?
Yeah, it looks like Charleston, they have 2 shared opponents, and Charleston just edged out Hofstra and got beat by Wichita State pretty bad.
Yeah.
So what was the final? Auburn beat Hofstra by 11 earlier this season. Oh, not Wichita. They didn't play. That was the only shared opponent. Okay, so Hofstra. So and Charleston eked by him by a point. Yeah, it's a decent draw because Charleston's not very big. I guess they have Bruce Pearl called them a three-headed monster, 2 strong guards and a good power forward that all play well at the perimeter. But what was the team with the Creighton has a bunch of big guys. Somebody like that would have been a bad draw in the first round. So they avoid somebody like that. The guard-heavy team is what Auburn likes to see. But having said that, they did not play well against a guard-heavy Alabama team and Colin Sexton.
That's true, but they have Dante Hall.
Dante Hall
in the paint.
Concussed in the third quarter, so he didn't play.
Third quarter.
Yeah, I think it was the third, wasn't it? Or
there's not
first 10 minutes. First 10 minutes. But it's been a long weekend. But Colin Sexton dominated them, and the guards have struggled recently. So I just think Auburn needs to play better. Not worry about the matchup necessarily, because look, Jared Harper and Bryce Brown can't combine to go 6 of 23 or whatever it was.
No.
And that's been kind of a reoccurring theme here in the last 6 games. I mean, as much as they've missed Anthony McLemore from a standpoint of size and in the paint and rebounding, the guards have sort of struggled with the pressure and responsibility of having to carry this team. Bruce Pearl's kind of 2 things was for them to hit the reset button. The bench needs to get more production because Chumo Kiki had one of his worst games of the season against Alabama on Friday. Davion Mitchell, Malik Dunbar not doing very much. But then the stars, more specifically Jared and Bryce, because Mustafa's gotten points and kind of attacked the basket. His shot hasn't fallen, but he's been getting to the free throw line.
And maybe that's what Jared Harper needs to
do more of, because he's kind of settled and he's gotten used to hitting those shots and he hasn't.
Right.
And he's certainly capable of getting to the basket.
And that's kind of what he did earlier this season,
right?
And also last season. I know it's way back, but he always attacked the basket to get himself going.
And he's kind of stayed back as he's kind of struggled. So I just think they need to kind of worry about. And I don't know how you do that. Shoot better. Bryce is healthier than he's been all month, so I mean that's good. But they need to just shoot better.
I think one way to improve that possibly is that Auburn hasn't had a contact practice in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I posted this on the board, I think, over the weekend. Like, what's Auburn got to do differently? And I said maybe they should just go back to having a contact practice. It's now or nothing. It's nothing for them. I mean, you either lose and you're out, or there's no future other than winning. That solidifies your future, excuse me. So Bruce Pearl today, even you're over there talking to him, they're going to have contact practices this week, right?
Just one.
Maybe one.
Practice. He qualified it.
They got to have
probably one.
Right?
Maybe one. I don't know. I mean,
I would ask the players.
I think you leave it up to the players.
What do you guys think? You guys are not playing very well right now. Shots aren't falling. Are you too tired? Or do you think we need to get back to, bumping and grinding and really going after it practice?
Whoa.
Yeah. I went back to
I don't know if they're doing that beyond practice, but
hey.
And some people on the board have pushed back that this team isn't tired, but I mean, if they're not tired, then what else is it? Look, the shooters, I don't think it matters much of the physical practice. They're not finding their shot. I mean, before the games.
Bryce Brown at one point, didn't he totally miss 2 free throws?
Well, that might have been Mustafa. He had
someone who was man, that doesn't happen.
But Bryce, I pointed out that he was on fire in the pregame and then just couldn't get it going in the actual
different
game.
When someone's in your face.
But he was open a lot of the shot. He missed some open looks.
He was wide open, yeah.
One from the corner where he had an open look and he just kind of looked it down and it was nowhere close and you could kind of see him just sort of go, I don't know what happened. It's like what happened there. And Jared too, just looks that have kind of fallen throughout the season haven't gone in, and it'll be interesting to see because they played some really bad. I mean, if you want to talk about as bad of a 20 minutes as you'll see,
that was terrible.
I mean, that was not just Auburn. I'm just saying, as bad of basketball as you'll see. That 20 minutes was something else, and one reporter commented he was just totally stunned because it was they played so bad. He didn't think that they had that in them, especially with the shooters and the way they've played all season and the chemistry they had. And they had a 10-point lead going into the second half. It wasn't like they struggled early.
Yeah, right.
and then the wheels fell off. So I'd be worried about that, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, this College of Charleston team, we talked about common opponents, and listen, Auburn played that Hofstra team. I don't even remember them playing them. That's how long ago it was.
It was November 19th. I think that's one of the only games this season in the regular season they were down at halftime, which was people forget.
Yeah, I mean, right. This team was much different. I mean, anyway. But this College of Charleston team's actually on kind of a bit of a run here. They lost their regular season finale in overtime to William and Mary by 10 points, 114-104. That must have been a fun game to watch. But they won the Colonial Athletic Association tournament, another overtime game. Here's the thing that sticks out to me about them. They've played 5 overtime games this year. That's unreal. And 3 of them have all occurred since February 15th. 2 of those were wins, including in the Colonial Association tournament. Auburn's favored by 10.5 points. Ken Pom gives Auburn an 84% chance of winning this game. But this College of Charleston team, if you look at what they've been doing, they have played a lot of close games down the stretch. We're talking 4 points, 6 points, 1 point, 5 points, and these aren't overtime games. Their biggest win down the stretch, I'm looking down here, was against Elon. It was a 21-point win. Outside of that, everything was single digits except for Drexel and William and Mary in the tournament. Everything else single digits. Close games throughout. They're 26-7 coming into this game. But here's something that's interesting to me. I love Ken Pom numbers and all this. Now, Auburn's definitely not the same team now as it was a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Auburn hasn't won away from Auburn Arena since when? It's been more than a month, right? So you look at the Cougars here and their numbers with Ken Pom. Offensive adjusted efficiency, which is a good way of judging how a team performs through an entire game. They rank 87th nationally. Their defense efficiency is 167th, all right? Their tempo is 324 in the country. Now you look over at Auburn, and they are on the opposite side of all that, despite struggling these last 6 games, really. Auburn ranks 16th in offensive efficiency, 44th in defensive efficiency. Their adjusted tempo is 21st.
Mm-hmm.
So this is contrasting styles, but Auburn is going against a team that's also guard heavy. So you would think, just at face value, Auburn's a big favorite in this game, and they are. And they should be, based off of the numbers you look at. And, of course, the competition both of these teams have gone against. I mean, College of Charleston has not faced a big-time opponent in the last half of the season. So, interesting numbers there. And I was looking on Twitter while I was gathering reaction, and I found this interesting. Now, we know everything on Twitter is correct, but I want to give credit to this person, just in case it is correct, and I have no reason to doubt it's not. But this is a very interesting stat using Ken Pom ratings. Sam Butler on Twitter said that when the 4-13 upset happens, because usually the 5-12, the 4-13 are usually where those upsets happen a lot. It's usually because the 13 seed has had a top 50 adjusted offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. And the 4 seed has had a sub-top 40 in those categories, right? When that happens, the 4 seed's 1-3. That's pretty interesting to me, just looking at that. When it's not like that, the 4 seed is 23-1. So Auburn falls, obviously, on that side of the 23-1 because their adjusted efficiency is ranked high. Meanwhile, College of Charleston is very low. Now, Auburn's deficient efficiency is not in the top 40, but it is number 44. So a little difference there. But if you look at this, Auburn, 1, should be a huge favorite, and 2, that is why they're a huge favorite, because if you look at these two teams, and Vegas obviously studies everything, Auburn just talent-wise and also with what they've got coming on the court against a College of Charleston team that has played slower, has not necessarily been the best defensive or offensive team because, as I said, they gave up 100-plus points in an overtime game just a couple weeks ago. That's one reason why you're seeing Auburn ranked so highly in this game and being seen as a team that should advance to the second round, and why Auburn's a double-digit favorite. And I think those Ken Pom numbers right there demonstrate that perfectly. Auburn falls more on the side of a 23-1 than on that 1-3 side where the 13 upsets.
Those were a lot of numbers.
You getting into that?
I wasn't taking notes, so probably not.
If you like analytics, go check that out. If you go to AuburnUndercover.com, go to the social media reacts to Auburn being in the NCAA tournament.
Can you get those numbers for what their offensive efficiency is in the last 6 games, though?
It hasn't dropped very much, so no. But I can't.
You can't look single.
But obviously, it hasn't actually dropped very much. I thought it would.
Yeah.
I've been following it, and it's been pretty. It's fallen a little bit, but it hasn't been drastic.
Yeah.
Because you also have to consider Auburn's defense was pretty good against Carolina. Its offense and defense was very good against Bama. 71 points held for the Tide. Auburn
Those
scored
are both
90.
their wins. You mean their wins?
They're both wins, but that helps their efficiency is what I'm saying. Really, their terrible game was the Alabama game in the SEC tournament. Yeah. Even in those losses at Arkansas, that was bad for their defensive efficiency, but the loss at Florida was actually not necessarily bad for their efficiency, even though they only scored 66 points.
Yeah.
The defense was pretty good. So, anyway, long story short.
I think that was a long story long.
Long story long. Let's not make it longer. But Auburn is favored for a good reason. Now, I want to look at this bracket. You got a bracket open?
I do have a bracket open.
Okay. So, I'm going to put you on the spot. No, I already mentioned it. Does Auburn make it to the Sweet 16, number one? And number two, is it by beating Clemson, or is Clemson going to get upset by New Mexico State?
I have no idea. Do you know how much do you know about New Mexico State at this point?
They're
in time?
New Mexico.
That's right. I have no idea. What even kind of team is New Mexico State at this point? And if Auburn fans on the boards are confident New Mexico is getting past Clemson, they need to name 3 players on New Mexico's team before they act
New Mexico State, they are higher ranked than Clemson in offensive efficiency and points per game. Of course, Clemson's played a tougher schedule.
Clemson's in the ACC.
Clemson's in the ACC, which, by the way, didn't get very many teams in and didn't get very good spots in the tournament. But also, they played 6 ranked teams in the top 25. Top 32, excuse me. You don't necessarily go to the top 25. New Mexico State's only lost 5 games. I'm just saying, they've got a shot.
They have a shot, but I mean...
And that 5-12, it always happens, man.
I didn't expect them to get blown out the way they did against Alabama. And I guess the last view of this team is that...
I don't think anybody expected any team in the SEC tournament to perform that way in the second half of any game.
And
it was bad.
I don't know if they have the, Bruce Pearl talked about getting their mojo back, and because they don't have it right now. So if they don't kind of hit reset button and look like the team that did earlier this season, which I don't know if they're capable of at this point without Anthony McLemore and without.
Horace Spencer has fouled out, in the last 2 games?
Horace is not doing very well.
Well, they need him to do better.
He just can't stay on the floor, though.
But what I'm saying is you can't lean on Chuma Okeke the entire time because what you're seeing is he's not playing very well because of that.
Well, he's a freshman, too, so it's going to be up and down.
I understand that, but he's having to play more because Horace Spencer's fouling out.
I'd be surprised, I guess, if they made the Sweet 16.
You'd be surprised. Yeah. You don't think they can beat Clemson?
I'd be surprised if they won 2 games.
I think they're very capable of making the Sweet 16. I don't know if they're going to, though. I think they're going to beat College of Charleston. But at this point...
But what Auburn team shows up, I guess, is my question.
Right. What if they go against College of Charleston and score 95 points, hit 12, 13 3-pointers?
Then you're feeling better. But if they kind of...
And all it takes, really, is to get in a rhythm of one game. That's what I keep saying. I said it about Alabama going to the SEC tournament. You need one guy to step up. Auburn really hasn't had that big star, though, this season.
Yeah.
But Bryce Brown can be that guy. And he has been it at times. He's always been a guy, along with Jared Harper. It's like they combined to spark Auburn during runs and to close out games. And even in that South Carolina game, when Auburn won the SEC regular season title, Jared Harper played a good game, but it wasn't like he and Bryce Brown were both having great moments at the same time like they usually do.
Right.
There was a couple of moments where that happened, but not necessarily for like a 5, 6, 7 minute stretch like you're used to seeing earlier in the season, midway through the season, I should say. But I don't know if you can count out this Auburn team to make the Sweet 16 just because if they hit shots, I think they're capable of beating just about maybe outside of maybe 5 teams in this tournament. They're capable of beating anyone if they hit their shots the way they've been capable of hitting.
But that team only has shown up, 24 minutes in the last 7 games that they played, or 6 games that they played?
A little bit more than that, I'd say.
Really, outside of that second half and end of first half against South Carolina.
Well, there's 30 minutes.
20 and then plus 4. It was only the last 4 minutes when Bryce Brown
for South Carolina
against South Carolina, yeah.
But Auburn as a whole, that second half, they came out of a deficit and built a lead. They were up for most of that second half.
Right, I'm saying so that's 24 minutes they played really well, and that's really that's it for the last 3 weeks. You haven't seen it, and Bryce is certainly capable of kind of going off, but it's not a team that's playing well. I mean, I just think that's the big concern.
Yeah. So
and they play, like you mentioned, when's the last time they won outside Auburn Arena? They play well in an environment that they feed off of that energy, and that's going to be a neutral site that's going to be probably pretty quiet, and that I don't think helps them. I think they're a team that kind of feeds off the crowd, even when it's it's sort of it sounds weird, but a hostile crowd. As long as it's full and kind of an exciting environment, they do play a little better. That SEC crowd was dead, and that team just didn't have the same kind of energy, even when they were up by 10, as they have in games where, in the second half against Florida, they come back and kind of feed off the that negativity almost.
Right. That crowd's going to be pretty dead Friday.
It's going to. I was trying to be kind.
Well, I'm just saying.
By saying sparse.
Who the hell from College of Charleston
Who's going to go to that game? And there's no Kentucky or Missouri playing afterwards that fans want to see. So it's not even going to fill up.
There's no Kentucky or Missouri fans there that cheer on Auburn. Because usually, if you have a bigger team there closer by, they'll pick a team and cheer. And Auburn would probably be that team.
It'll be interesting to see what that environment's like and how they kind of.
Well, I listen. There's a reason why this first round game's on True TV.
Are you saying True TV is not a major network? Better watch your words here.
I'm just saying, I mean, out of TBS, TNT, CBS, they picked True TV for this game. So, and at night.
Yes.
Or on the West Coast, it'll be
and
late
right
afternoon.
After work, I know.
So I don't know. We'll see. They should beat Charleston. And I've been saying all along, if Auburn wins an SEC title, anything after that's gravy.
but the loss to Alabama, the way they did, it's reminiscent of the football. And we were talking about on Facebook Live. It was basically people were sort of beside themselves. You
think? Yeah. Well, if they lose the College of Charleston, I'll jump on that.
I'll jump on that bandwagon.
But
it is similar.
Sure.
If they lose in the first round, this will be like the football season where
they ran out of gas,
and you don't get to celebrate the final. Your final moments are going to be sort of devastation in the SEC tournament, and then disappointment. But
the one difference will be that at least the basketball team has a title.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's true. But I'm just saying they're
going to put a banner up for only a third time in school history.
When the banner goes up, it'll be far enough in the future where fans will be excited. But at the moment,
less things happen behind the scenes.
Right, and nobody's back. But I think in the moment it's just hard to sort of separate it for fans.
Sure. They should beat Charleston. If they don't beat Charleston, yikes. But
stranger things have happened in the NCAA
well, that's
tournament.
the thing.
They're
we almost saw 1 seed lose to a 16 seed. What was it, last year?
Yeah, and they're a 4 seed, so it's not like they're in the non-upset territory.
And we've been talking about that all along. You want to stay above the 5 and stay away from the 4 if you can. And we were talking more or less about where they would go. Yeah. Like if they were a 3 seed, I think Auburn would probably be in Dallas right now.
Because if they had beaten Alabama, they would be in Dallas.
I think
or
so.
I had an outside shot in Nashville, but now they're in San Diego, and I mean they got a favorable draw, but at the same time, I think that they had wanted to be higher, and maybe that's where the subdued celebration I think came in.
That or I don't know. You talked to the players, I did not, but it's interesting that Mustafa Heron's like telling the team, "Don't clap, don't celebrate." Just strange. So let's go to some listener questions. All right. Man, I've got a lot of Twitter mentions right now. All right. All Natural Bruh asks, "What is Mike Pearl like? Is he a suspenders wearing type of fella?"
You want to set that up for anybody that didn't see it?
Yes, Greg Gumbel on the TBS Selection Sunday show, when they were announcing the teams alphabetically, said Mike Pearl, Coach Mike Pearl, instead of Coach Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl didn't really care. Bruce doesn't care much. He says he's been called worse things, and that's true. But what would Mike Pearl be like?
I have no idea.
Would he be a suspenders-wearing type of fella?
Sure.
Bruce Pearl used to wear suspenders every now and again. He doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, didn't he early in his career? I don't know if by Tennessee he got, but in the Milwaukee days, didn't he?
Yeah. Where the suspenders go? He got to break those out for the NCAA tournament. Kevin R. Barnes asks, "Is Bruce Pearl the best college basketball coach in all of college football?"
I don't even know what that means.
Mike doesn't want to have fun today. Beth wants to know if we're going to San Diego. Someone from 24/7 Sports will be there. Kevin also wants insider info on why Bryce Brown and co are not able to hit shots. I mean, they're not hitting shots. I think they're tired.
I think they're tired, but I mean, and I think that's why Bruce has tried to give them as much time off for practice. I don't think he would give them as many off days as he could if he thought this team didn't need rest. And look, and it's the two guys that have shouldered the burden, right? I mean, it's no coincidence. Jared Harper was playing 36 minutes around in that final stretch, especially after Anthony McLemore went down. And I think it added up. And Bryce Brown was the guy that led the team in minutes all season. And then the injuries happened as well. So I think it just it was a bad, kind of the perfect storm of issues.
Mike Lockhart says, "What can you tell us about the College of Charleston?" Well,
we'll tell you more tomorrow.
Well, one fan on Twitter
or today,
said
I guess, if
that Joe Cheeley and Grant Reiler, I'm probably saying their names incorrectly, are the best combo guards in the nation. Now, look at Ken Palm. Here's some numbers for you. They are pretty good. They rank nationally in about like 9 or 10 categories.
Yeah.
Those two. So that's very, very good. They take a lot of shots. Grant, right? Holy crud! Wow. Grant Reiler, 6'3", 395 pounds. All right.
Guess 95 pounds.
195 pounds.
Oh, I thought you said 95 pounds.
He hasn't eaten. Guess what his shooting percentage is inside the arc?
Probably pretty high since they shoot 46% as a team.
62.3%.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good, and he leads the team with 260 shots too. So that's legit. They're a pretty good free throw shooting team, at least with their top 3 players. Not a great, I don't know. They're pretty good. They're pretty good shooting the ball. Like I said, they've had some 100-point games here and there. What interests me, though, and what could be a problem for Auburn in a close game, is that they're accustomed to close games, and they've played 5 overtime games.
Auburn is used to playing in blowouts.
Yeah, so Auburn hasn't faced that, and I would have to give College of Charleston the advantage there if this is a close game in the last, 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, and what was I think I added it up in their first 20 games. The average margin of victory for Auburn was 11 points. I mean, it was just absurd.
Well, and they're not going to be playing at home. That's what I've been told. They're not going to play the NCAA Tournament in Auburn. But yeah, College of Charleston's their two leading guards are pretty legit, and especially that Grant kid, number 1. Keep an eye on him. Shooting 62.3% inside the arc, 41.9% on three-pointers. He is their best shooter by far. Very interesting. They have 1, 2. All right, hold on 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 guys who shoot better than 53% inside the arc. So
pretty good.
Pretty good. And that includes a 6'10" forward, Nick Harris. Okay, so you don't think Auburn makes a Sweet 16? I think they've got a shot, but I'm not ready to say.
I didn't say they have no shot. I mean, let's not. I'm not saying they have no chance.
You said they won't.
I've said that I don't think they will make the Sweet 16.
Okay.
But I'm not saying that it's out of the you're saying it is it's out of the realm of possibility that they were to win. I wouldn't go as far, but I mean, I'm leaning against the fact that they string two together here.
Okay. We'll go to auburnundercover.com for full coverage throughout the week as we prepare for Auburn versus College of Charleston in the first round.
And I'm just going to advise every coach in the handshake line not to get in Bruce Pearl's way in San Diego. Yeah. Just be careful.
He certainly changed the narrative after that Alabama game a little bit. A lot of people are focusing on that rather than Auburn losing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you're a coach and you're thinking, maybe I'm just going to stand here and think about life, get out of the way.
Yeah. Move.
Get out of the way.
Just get out of the way, dude.
Be careful, San Diego.
Yeah. You know what San Diego stands for?
Is this the Anchorman joke?
You know what it stands for.
What was the joke?
No, I'm not saying it's a joke. What's it stand for?
I don't know what it stands for.
It stands for Pearl of the West.
Oh, is that true?
No, it doesn't. Okay. But I was trying to make a Bruce Pearl joke instead of what you thought I was going to.
Well, what was the joke at San Diego?
I know we're not saying we can't say it on here. This is a family show.
Was that a vulgar one?
Yes.
What was it?
I know what it was. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't. No, you can't say that.
Cannot.
If you have not, if you haven't seen Anchorman, go watch it.
What are you doing?
It's really good.
Why have you not seen Anchorman? Anchorman 2, not so much.
And you could see the joke that we're talking about.
So anyway, full coverage.
Which is not safe for work.
Full coverage at auburnundercover.com. Also, we got 24/7 Sports, March Madness, whatever you want to call it, bracket challenge. You can win cash, money, and PlayStation 4. And God of War. Is that one of them popular games? God of War.
Yeah, the new one hasn't come out yet, so I'd imagine then.
So anyway, you can win that
soon.
And plus, I think 3-year or 5-year subscription to 24/7 Sports.
I thought you were going to say IRA.
What?
Can win a 3-year IRA.
So there you go. If I haven't mentioned this already, this show is presented by WeHaveDonuts.com. If I mentioned that, probably not.
I don't think so.
WeHaveDonuts.com. Beautiful, delicious, delicate donuts. They're very delicate. Based in Birmingham, you get them at Prevail Union coffee shops in Montgomery and Auburn. Go to WeHaveDonuts.com for much more information on how you get your hands on these beautiful donuts, and also book them for your corporate events or your wedding or whatever. You can get a donut wall. It's good stuff. WeHaveDonuts.com, DOUGH nuts.com. So I guess that's going to do it for this episode of the Auburn Undercover podcast. A brief look at Auburn's first round matchup against the College of Charleston as we sit here inside the Auburn Athletics Complex after talking to a couple of players and Bruce Pearl. Auburn headed to the NCAA Tournament for the first time since 2003. Can they win some games? We will see. For Mike Niziolek, I'm Brendan Marcello. We'll see you down the road.